In a world wrought with devastation, two unite into one to form a superior combination. One white, one black. This is their story of the anime aspect.
All right, everybody, thank you so much. Welcome back to the anime aspect. Again, I am Matt Swagger, and with me I have the lovely and great Brave Dave.
What's up?
Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode, which is episode number 5. We're going to speak about Voltron. I know we touched about it in the first episode, how we said DreamWorks did a great job, how they took a classic anime and really made it new and made it refreshing and just brought it up to the modern times. And we wanted to dedicate an episode to it because we finally got to sit down, because we promised we were going to do that, make some time. So we had to push some things aside, from our busy schedule to go ahead and binge watch this. And it was well worth it. 11 episodes.
It was.
Exactly.
And I think they're already confirmed for like a season 2, right?
Yes, they are confirmed for season 2. And so, keeping up with our promise, we want to dedicate this episode to speaking about it, how from the character development to the story to the animation, how it really, I believe, is greater than the original. What do you think about that?
Well, see, that's before we got into the show, I did want to talk to you about, okay, what is your relationship with the original Voltron from the 80s? I vaguely remember watching it when I was a kid. I think I watched it occasionally. I did have friends that were watching the show. For some reason, I never got into it, though.
I've seen Voltron. I don't remember the characters. I don't remember the story much. So, again, I can't really be too biased.
I'll tell you one thing, though. So, for the new series, was it Legendary the Defender?
Legendary Defender, yep.
Yeah, that shit, right? Voltron. Anyway,
yeah.
After I watched the first episode, which is the only episode which is like by an hour, right?
Yes.
Which was well worth the hour.
Yeah, it was.
It was great. I decided to let me go check out the first episode of the original series, dude. I couldn't make it 7 minutes without fucking giving up. It's like that shit was fucking terrible.
It's like with the new Ninja Turtles series where they make fun of Voltron with the badly dubbed anime that they're watching on cassette tapes. That's kind of how the original Voltron probably was.
Let's take it back a little bit. So this was also the same era that you had Transformers, GoBots.
Mm-hmm.
The mech suit shit was big at that time. This is the 80s we're talking about.
Yeah.
And the mech stuff goes back to the late 60s, early 70s within the anime genre.
Oh, yeah.
And I think I remember in the first episode when we kind of touched on Voltron a little bit, I think I was asking you, is that considered an anime? Because wasn't that mostly like an American production?
That's what I thought too, remembering. I thought so. But even now with DreamWorks, I believe, is an American production as well. Well, we can certainly check on that.
Right.
But
DreamWorks is definitely an American company as far as I know. Now, I assume that they bought the license for Voltron.
Oh, yeah. All right. So the original run began in 1984, and it ran through till November 18th of 1985. So not that long of a run.
Well, but remember, you got to remember at that time, like, cartoons were, like, air all the fucking time, sometimes every day. So, yeah, let's say the run was about a year.
Yeah.
But within that year, there could have been, like, over 100 episodes.
Oh, true, yeah.
Because I think that's the way it was for Thundercats. Now, Thundercats, which came out in the same era as Voltron, Transformers, that was my shit.
That was my shit,
you
too.
You know what I mean? Like, if there was two things you could always count on me watching at that time, that was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Thundercats.
Thundercats was life. That was my life then.
Panthro was black.
You keep your foot off that blasted summer flange. What the fuck's a summer flange?
All right, so Voltron, Defender of the Universe, again, started in the 80s, was part of that whole wave of mech shit.
Yeah.
And, when you think about 1993, what came out then? Power Rangers.
Oh God, yeah.
And I remember I had a friend in middle school, my boy Michael Moultrie, which I haven't seen in about 20 fucking years. Let me not age myself. Anyway,
so that makes you what, 20?
yes, I'm 20 and I'm beautiful. Damn it. What do you call it? And I remember he was always saying, well, you know, Power Rangers is cool, but it really is just a ripoff of Voltron. I'm like, yeah, I guess. But again, I wasn't that big into Voltron at the time. I don't know why, but it wasn't. You know,
we probably didn't. It wasn't saturated enough probably for us to be seeing it. I know I was overcome with Thundercats. I was obsessed with Thundercats at that time. I had the claw shield. I had the Sword of Omens. I would walk around with it. I had slippers. Biggest fan of Thundercats and Ninja Turtles. That really was ruling my life at that time.
In terms of action figures, I had Ninja Turtle stuff.
Yeah, me too. Heavily.
I had a sibling, so I didn't get that much stuff. It was birthdays and Christmas. You know, you fucking bastards who were like the only child. You get fucking presents all the time. But you know, I did have a best friend at the time that was an only child, and his parents bought him everything. So every weekend, I was either at his house or he was at my house. Either way, I was playing with his shit. You know what I mean? Like my boy had like all the X-Men. He had the Gargoyle action figures. He had Batman stuff, Ninja Turtles. So that was my way of, you know, getting toys into my life.
Oh, man. But going back with Power Rangers, yeah, I could see that because with the Paladins, the Knights, they all had different suits. They were represented by different colors.
Right.
And then you have the Power Rangers coming along. There's the red, the black, but they added pink. Right. You got green, yellow. So it all follows through. Blue.
The one difference with Power Rangers would be like it was a little bit more diverse.
Yes.
Yeah. Other than that, it pretty much was a straight ripoff of Voltron.
Yeah, and the Megazord was Voltron.
Yeah, I mean
how they formed together. Yeah. So that, you know, Saban took something that was popular at that time, and how many years later, right? 20 something years later, he's still banking on Power Rangers. And
well, you know the story behind that, right?
Yeah.
You know how they sold Power Rangers to Disney?
Yeah, and he bought it back.
And he bought it back?
Yeah.
So Disney bought it for what, $4 billion?
Oh God! Now at that time, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, and then, it was either $3 or $4 billion that Disney bought Power Rangers for, right? And then they didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah,
they were running it on ABC for a few years.
They ruined it. Yeah,
they sold it back to Saban for like $50 million.
Yeah, so they still won.
So imagine. So
probably the $50 million that they made on the.
I mean, so Saban literally walked away with like highway robbery. It's like, come on.
But you know, I'm sure he made that back and then some since.
What, the $50 million?
Yeah,
dude, he made $3 billion initially.
Yeah,
but off the sale, but just to buy it back from them for $50 million. That's like 50 cents. Off of $3 billion?
You're right, yeah.
It's like, come on. Oh my God, dude. Listen, those Israelis, man.
They know what to do.
They know what they're doing.
They know how to chingle that penny around.
I wish I had some of that in my blood. I'd be like Howard Stern right now.
Yeah, Howard. Have pity on us.
Yeah.
But the new series of Voltron.
Yes, let's get back to that.
I remember when I first saw the first episode, which was maybe some weeks back, and then the night before I was just binge watching everything. This way it's fresh in my mind, and now we can speak about it today on this week's episode. And the animation is very crisp, everything you expect from today's technology.
Very sophisticated.
It's the soundtrack that goes along with it, the characters, their different personalities, how everyone just doesn't mesh together, which is great. You got to have something like that where it doesn't look like it's going to be a clusterfuck. It's not going to work out, and then something catastrophic is going to unite everybody and bring them together as a unit.
That's the Avengers Part 1.
Yeah, but this they do it in a profound way here.
Right. Well, and the thing about this is that it doesn't all happen in the first episode.
No, it doesn't.
It takes a number of episodes for them to really work together. And not only that, not just even when they kind of figure out how to work together better, they're still figuring out how to use the lines.
Yeah, they still don't know how to use them. Yeah,
you know what I mean? So, and that's what I liked. It's like we're going through a journey. You know,
you can't expect a group of kids that really don't know each other, that just got banded together by destiny, by fate, whatever you want to call it, and expect it to be second nature. I really wouldn't be interested in the show if they were like, oh my god, okay, wow, I really know how to use this now. They don't understand their lions. They know it's trying to communicate with them. So the lion will like raise something out of their control deck. It's like say, okay, you know, I'm helping you here. I know you just don't really get us yet, but sometime down the line, maybe by the 3rd season or so, you're going to see some solid, hardcore unity and in sync with between the lion and the paladin. But this is what I appreciate. I like seeing that struggle. I like seeing them have to really think and figure out how they're going to win, how they're going to get through this battle when they really have no clue what they're doing. They were just thrown into this. So that's a great story. I thought it was really good.
No, I did too. And going back to the sophisticated animation that you touched on earlier, as you know, a filmmaker myself, one thing I really appreciated was again the sophisticated animation. There were like these great panning shots, tracking shots, these great zoom shots. Like I was like, wow, we're looking at this in an animation.
Yeah.
Usually you see stuff like that in more of a feature animation, right?
Yeah.
From something like a Disney maybe.
Yep.
But remember, DreamWorks normally does, you know, feature animations.
Yeah.
This was the first, as far as I know, the first time doing a series on something on a platform like Netflix. So I feel like they brought a lot of the stuff that they normally do in the world of feature animation and brought it down here, which I thought was great. We just finished watching about over a week ago the Killing Joke animation.
Yeah.
And you could hear our review on our other podcast, the anime. The Rogues Gallery.
Yes.
But anyway, but you know, one thing that we were disappointed in with the Killing Joke was like the animation was pretty bad.
Wow. Yes. And wow.
Bad. I mean, like,
it's so surprising from DC, which they take it up a notch when it comes to the animation.
One thing they've always had over Marvel, in my opinion, was the animation.
Yes.
Like
it's always consistent.
Right. If you go back and watch the Spider-Man cartoon, the X-Men cartoon from the 90s, the Iron Man cartoon, all that the Fantastic Four stuff, the animation doesn't really hold up. A lot of it has to do because of the God, I haven't studied animation in about 14 years, but a lot of it has to do with the design of the characters.
Yeah.
If you remember, a lot of the designs, they will look the way they did in the comics.
Yes.
Which I really appreciated at the time. But the thing is, though, that shit doesn't really animate too well.
No.
If you looked at what the stuff that Bruce Timm was doing with the animated series, Batman, the Superman series, like they were using a lot more shapes.
Yes, definitely.
A lot more ovals, a lot more squares, that kind of stuff. And generally, squares and sharp angles didn't really work too well in animations. But that was a very new thing. But that animates a lot better and holds up over time better. It
brought life to it, because if you look, even though I love the Spider-Man animated series and X-Men, sometimes it could be very blocky.
Yeah.
Like they're overly bulked out, and
the movements weren't that.
Yeah, someone as Spider-Man shouldn't really be bulky, and because he's very athletic, he has the agility of a spider. He should be more lean and trim, but again, he has the proportionate strength of a spider. Anyway, that's the differences between this generation and last, and how you have an anime just brings out the best in everything. Right. I truly believe it. And they're really showing that with this new Voltron series.
And a lot of the stuff that they did too also reminded me of, of some of the shots that we saw in Akira.
Yeah.
And I actually own Akira. I have the DVD somewhere over here, but we haven't really touched too much on Akira. I think we got to do a show just dedicated to Akira, because that was like the gateway for a lot of people.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, long before Dragon Ball Z came along, like Akira was like kind of got the attention of that very niche college crowd from the early 80s.
Yeah.
Like, hey, like there's this totally different style of animation that's going on, across the globe. And we should definitely touch on that one day.
So now you guys have something else to look forward to. We will dedicate an episode in the future, probably the very near future, to Akira. Right. So stay tuned for that.
But just like remember that motorcycle scene in Akira, like the opening shots and stuff like that. A lot of that stuff. I mean, it was so ahead of their time. Yeah. But I saw a lot of that stuff, in his version of Voltron. I mean, again, I was really impressed with the camera angles in the show. It was very sophisticated. It
kept me very interested in wanting to see. That's why it made it very easy for me to keep binge watching, because time didn't feel like it passed. It's just like, wow, oh man, this episode's done. All right, let me go on to the next one. Because it directly continued, which again, I like that. I like when an episode directly continues with the last and doesn't have any filler. Right. This has no filler. It's straight to the point. But it does take time for the story to develop. Right. Which is, I can really appreciate that. I appreciate that it takes multiple episodes for these characters to get on the same page. I appreciate the strong leadership that they have from Princess Allura. I think she's one of the best characters.
She's great, yeah.
Besides Karan. I love that dude because he's the comedy relief. Yeah. And he's the low-key savage guy that you really don't know. Because he really knows how to get business done. There's a lot of things that he knows. And you can look at him as a mentor to the Paladins and even the princess. But there's some things that the princess isn't even keeping secret from the Paladins.
They bringing up those two characters, they did a great job with the casting for the series.
That voice just fits up very well. And Karan's voice is so cool. I really love the voice acting.
But what's interesting about that, though? A lot of the voice actors in that show look very similar to the way the characters look.
Really?
Like, I can show you a picture of the guy who's playing, is it Karan, you said?
Yeah, Karan.
Like, if you look at him, look at this picture right here. It kind of does look like, the character from the series. It's almost as if, like, they were hoping that, hey, we'll do a live-action version one day. We just use the voice actors. Because a lot of the voice actors are also just regular actors as well.
Yeah, yeah.
But
pretty cool.
But even, like, the guy who plays, what's that character? Is it Hunk?
Hunk, yeah.
Yeah, and I know you'll recognize this actor, Tyler Labine. Yeah, he's been on shit like, what's that show? He was Planet of the Apes. He was in that movie, The Boss.
It's so funny.
What do you call it, though? But if you look at him, he's like a heavy-set dude, just like the character of Hunk. You know what I mean? But again, they did a great job with the casting.
They did.
The actors bring so much life into the roles.
They do, especially Lance. His character is very laid back, slacker, perv on the low. You got to have one of those guys in an anime that just love women, like with Pokemon and Brock. It's like there's always that one male character that's in love with every woman that he sees, even though he knows it's going to get him in trouble. And it does get Lance into trouble in one of the episodes. Yeah.
Even the it's funny because like was it like episode like 5 or 6 where we found out that Pidge was a girl?
Yeah.
I don't have much recollection of the original series.
Yep.
So I didn't know. Like I had my suspicions from episode 1. I was like, is that supposed to be a girl or a boy? I wasn't too sure.
Because the voice sounds more like on the female side.
If you look at the actress who plays the role of Pidge,
she's pretty cute.
She's cute.
She is.
And looks like a lesbian. Actually, this girl, she was in that show, The Killing, I think season 3, and she was playing a lesbian. She was also on Arrow. Remember? She was the one that was with Black Canary before. Laurel took it over when it was her sister. Really? And she was like the lesbian following her around. That's her. Yeah. That's one. It's like you, and I think she really is a lesbian in real life. So it's kind of like, did you like sought out like a lesbo to kind of play Pidge? Like, but it's perfect.
it works.
Like
she is cute though.
and Pidge is a great character.
Yeah,
great character. And I love the backstory.
Exactly. I was gonna say that you great backstory.
One thing I learned in film school, and Matt, I know you've heard me talk about this countless times on other podcasts and personal conversations.
Yeah.
I always say you need to have something for the audience to have an emotional connection to.
Exactly. And
without that, you don't have a story.
And I think they did well with that with Pidge because she really wants to get her father and
Right.
brother back. And she was doing anything possible to find out information. What happened to my family?
Right.
So
she almost left. Remember? There was an episode she almost left.
Yeah, but
It was
a crisis brought her back in
Right.
and brought them all together stronger than ever, which
Right.
is great.
And again, that was another factor that brought them closer as a team.
Exactly.
Because they were still trying to figure things out. They still were, they still haven't fully formed that union yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because when Shiro first came back from Earth after he escaped the Galra prison ship, and they only knew him from the garrison, the school that they were in. They knew that, oh, this is like one of the best pilots. They still didn't know him personally, so they got thrusted in with him. Okay, he's going to be the leader. You got the slacker. You got the overweight, intelligent guy that just likes to eat food and sleep. Then you got the ambiguous, nerdy guy, but you didn't know it's really a girl on the low, which is great because it gives another female character.
Right.
But I wonder if they're going to go forward with letting her female persona come out more.
That's
or they're
what I
going
was wondering.
Because I would like that if they would let her become
because at first
herself.
At first, I thought it was just like, all right, so this is going to be the boys' club with the princess.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, are we still really doing that in this day and age? So it was a relief to find out that, okay, well, there's another, girl, female on the team.
Yeah. So I'd be really excited to see them do more with Pidge going into the second season after they work out this crisis that they're currently in at the end of season 1.
I also like that Pidge has a certain strength to her and this also like a determination.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that about the character. Like, she's not going to be physically as strong as the boys. Let's be honest.
No,
like,
but she's very intelligent, and she
Right.
uses the technology that's available to her within her suit
Right.
and within the Castle of Lions
as an advantage.
to get away from enemy fleets
Right.
and to even
Even
to mod her line to camouflage it even for 30 seconds. That's a
Right.
great enhancement that it didn't have before. So you can appreciate what she brings to the table, to the team, so that they can infiltrate places with one line. And if they need 30 seconds to get past something,
Right.
they can do that. Otherwise, before they couldn't.
You remember the episode where I don't know if that was like episode 3 or 4, where she needed to save the ship, and she had to fight one of like the like top lieutenants.
Yeah.
And she was, I mean,
Well, with the help of Rover,
right, but she was still being crafty, which I liked.
because no way in physical means
Right.
was she able to best this guy.
Right. But here's the thing though, as someone who does study combat,
Yeah.
Women are probably one of the most dangerous opponents you could go against, because
Oh.
they have to be very crafty in order to defeat you. Like, I'll put it like this. All right. Floyd Mayweather is arguably the best boxer in the world, right?
Yeah.
Like, very technically sound, that kind of stuff. Does that mean that basically, but I can knock him out?
Anybody, yeah.
I'm I'm nearly 6 foot tall. I'm well over 200 pounds.
Yeah.
Which I kindly always get reminded by my wife.
Aren't wives great?
No, but like, seriously, if he stands right in front of me, I'm gonna knock him out.
Yeah.
But he's not gonna stand right in front of me.
No.
He's gonna use deceptive tactics, feints, and fakes in order to defeat me.
Yeah.
So that's what this character has to do in order to survive, because physically she's not as big as everyone else.
No.
But again, that's the kind of shit I like to see.
Exactly. I don't want to see everybody be able to be this
Unstoppable
naturally,
force.
naturally talented right from the get-go, able to, like, I'm going to defeat you no matter what. Yes, I want to see you defeat that person, but I got to see it in a way that adds credibility to your character. You're a teenage girl pretending to be a boy so you can get into that school to find out what happened to your family. Right. And then you get thrust on this adventure that's now going to consume your life. And you got to find a way that you're going to be able to survive.
Right.
And I think she's doing great. And I really like that. And I just hope they keep continuing that. It really brings a lot to the team to have someone with the intelligence that still is not afraid to get their hands dirty. I like that.
You know what I really liked about the reveal about her being a girl when she kind of like came clean to the team was like everyone was like, yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I knew it. And with the exception of Lance.
Yeah,
Lance is a great fucking character.
I know, so oblivious.
Yeah,
because what that says about Lance, he's very shallow.
Right.
So he only cares about the drop dead, gorgeous, stunning woman. Like as soon as he saw Princess Allura, he was all over her. Right. And that alien bounty hunter, he was all duped. He got crazy for her. But here you have a normal girl that just has short hair and glasses. That's not really top heavy. You know what I'm saying? Right. And he just considers one of the guys.
She's got no tits. Not play.
Nah, no titties.
No titties.
So
Bitties.
She's overlooked and just considered one of the boys. And everyone else knew because they don't have that shallowness to them. They just look at Pidge as a friend, as a comrade,
right?
And
as
they kind
equal.
And they kind of get that hint, like, okay, you don't act like a boy.
But Lance, it's like, and what you're saying is like his hormones are just so out of control that he looks past the obvious.
Yes, his radar only picks up hotness and not what's on the inside. He really can't. He's very in the very definition of what shallow is.
Yeah,
and
I like him.
He's an interesting character. He's
a great character. But that's what you need. You can't have characters be similar to each other.
Yeah, when you have
Shiro's like the level-headed guy.
Yeah,
Lance is like the kind of reckless, shallow character.
Yeah,
what's the name of the other guy?
Keith.
Keith is more like the top
gun, the hothead fighter guy. Yep.
Yeah, he's Maverick, right?
Yep.
He's that guy. Pidge is like, smart, very self-aware, and Hunk is just like, he's hungry, he's big, he's a lot smarter than giving him credit for.
He's very smart.
But he's also like, what I also like about Hunk is like, he's a bit of a coward sometimes too, which I like.
Well, that's smart.
Yeah,
you can appreciate that. He doesn't want to die.
I appreciate it because he's me. I'm a big guy.
He's an average guy.
And I run away from confrontation. I love it.
But again, he shows his worth where it matters. I like when he really...
He's like the BA of the group, right? Like he's the engineer. Because remember the
he's the BA, mechanic, everything.
Yeah, mechanic, engineer, that kind of shit. Like he's the big guy. He's the muscle,
And sometimes he's the voice of reason.
Yeah.
And when he made that promise to rescue Shay from the Balmera being captive by the Galra, I like that side of him because that gave him some motivation, knowing that, you know what, yeah, I wanted to go back home. I miss Earth. I miss my family. But now I understand what Koran and Princess Allura was saying, that there's more to what your struggle is because the universe is under a plague and his name is Zarkon.
Right.
So... that's when he finally understood, wow, I really see what Zarkon and the Galra Empire is doing to the universe and all its inhabitants. The Balmera is a living thing. It's a living planet, much like Ego in the DC world. Sorry, my bad. That's Marvel. I'm thinking of
Ego,
Mogo.
the planet.
Yeah, I'm thinking of Mogo in the DC world, which is another... It's funny how all these American companies have the same characters with different names.
They've been copying from each other for like the last 70 years.
So you really don't see that with the anime, except for One Punch Man. Nah, I'm just kidding.
One Punch!
Whoever gets in my way, I punch. No, getting on that, I will be watching that and giving further insight into an episode down the line. But getting back to Voltron, with that, I really respect that. And everyone had their aha moment when they said, okay, yeah, the team is bigger than what's going on. I want to go home. I miss mommy. I miss my food. I miss rain. There's a bigger end goal in sight. And you guys have the ultimate weapon that can bring peace and justice to the whole universe. That says to me, this is important. And now this may be my life. That's a kind of cool thing to do, is go and help people that are being enslaved, being persecuted by this nut job that's like draining planets of their energy so he can prolong his lifespan and be more powerful. And which is interesting, which I was getting to the hint of when watching with Zarkon. I really got the feeling why he wanted Voltron so much, because he was the original paladin of the Black Lion.
Right.
And I really felt that. And then you saw that in like episode 10. and how he was taking control over the lion. Washiro was in it, and he's telling him, your connection is weak. I'm the original. And he almost got the lion if it wasn't for Keith having the balls to go and stand up to this guy, even though Karan's like, no, you gotta get back. He's too powerful. Get out of there, Keith. Get out. No, you can't. And Keith didn't give up. He didn't give a shit. He turned off his communication. He went on, kept fighting, even though when it looked grim, he stood up. He found like his lion. He was able to do another weapon, like this huge ass laser cannon.
Yeah.
And it was great. And even Zarkon was praising him, saying, you fight like a gal warrior, but not for long. And he was like, his weapon, it reminds me of like the Green Lantern ring, because you can make that weapon to anything with your mind. So it's kind of like a construct, but not. So I really like that element to it. That it can be a sword. It can be like Renji's sword from Bleach, that it can extend and have like teeth and just rip you apart. It can turn into a gun, anything that he needs it to be. And I really like that, because when you're in a battlefield and you're not aware of what your enemy can do, you want to be able to have a versatile weapon that can get the job done no matter what the circumstance. So this is a show that even the villains are cool. I gotta say, man, they really knocked it out of the park. And this is another hit for Netflix. Netflix, ever since bringing it with Daredevil and Jessica Jones, they're gonna have Luke Cage in about a month. Year. Iron Fist, really Netflix.
Now they're doing animation, like it's
that.
Well, and you know what though, and this was something that some people predicted was going to happen a few years ago, because it's kind of like, remember when Netflix started, it was kind of like what original cable was, right?
Netflix
it was just a repeat. It was a platform for repeats.
When Netflix originally came out, it was just you can get 3 DVDs sent to you. You can keep it as long as you want. And when you want more, you have to send them back.
Yeah, you send it back.
And then over time, because the DVDs get scratched and everything, they went into streaming. Right. And then they would just play repeats and old movies for like from 10 years ago.
Right. But that's what cable was doing. Like when cable started in the 80s.
And this is cheaper.
Right. It was just a platform to show older shows for the most part. And then they said, you know what? All right, that's cool, but what's really going to bring in the numbers is when we start producing original content.
And we're going to make so much more money doing so.
Right.
And
you maintain a lot more interest.
Yes. But the money comes with that. And
it goes hand in hand.
Endgame is money.
It goes hand in hand.
But what they're giving us is money, because seeing an anime that's the voice acting, the dubbing is perfection in my eyes. As the ambassador of anime in America, I can go ahead and give that my stamp of approval, saying that this adaptation of Voltron is very superior to some of the Japanese anime that are on. And that says a lot.
You mean in terms of some of the more like contemporary animes, or?
Yeah, some of these ones, there's just a lot of fluff.
But let me ask you a question. Because I haven't heard you talk too much about a lot of the more recent animes.
Yeah, we're going to have to start doing that.
I feel like there's a reason behind that. Is it? And I want to touch in just a little bit now, but explore more in future episodes. But do you even like a lot of stuff that's coming out now?
To be honest, some of the stuff, no. I feel that it's really moving away from its roots.
Really?
Of what anime was. And
so what do you think the problem is?
I think it's just Japan just trying to pander to the audiences, the
global audience.
And they never done that before. Right. And they really shouldn't pander, because they have what everybody wants.
Right.
As long as anime exists, people are going to watch it and crave it. And I don't think you should lose your integrity for a story that's going to fit a certain demographic. You never did that before. You're very diverse, very ambiguous. There was an anime for everybody, and there still is. And that's the thing. I grew up with anime, the classics, and coming up into now. This kid's only coming into this anime, and they think that this is what anime was, and always will be. It's going to change again. It's just, I like to see more like this with Voltron. I like to see the production value. I like to see the character development. I like to see the ensemble that they really don't mesh. They're a real rogues gallery. But in the sense of the word.
But Voltron was, as we started with this episode, as we stated in the beginning of this episode, that's more of an American production.
It's done on an American production, but it's a full blown anime.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, if you look at all the names of the people that are credited,
Yeah.
they're all like Japanese and Korean names.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple, one or two.
It's just
one or two like Americans, but for the most part. But what I'm saying is though, this is still like an American production storyline, but that's a lot different from this came directly from Japan.
Yeah.
And
it's
what you're saying is though, like the last few years, what they've been pumping out hasn't been all that great.
No, you have One Piece still holding on, which is the longest running manga right now, and One Piece is very, very original with its art and its story, and that's one of the great animes, and a lot of people should watch it, should read it because of its originality and its story. And let's just you have Fairy Tail, you have Attack on Titan. I'm not saying that these things are terrible. I'm just saying that what I grew up with is something with a little more substance to it than we're always constantly attacked by a monster, or this, again, like with American stuff, the fate of the world lies in the hands. There's got to be more to it. And I know Voltron has to deal with,
I was about to say that, yeah.
And that's how I'm getting to my point. I know Voltron has to deal with trying to save the universe, not just the world. It's just trying to bring down an oppressor, a tyrant, but it still has substance. It still has that ability to get you emotionally involved with each character. Yeah. That's something that these animes today don't really do for me.
Right.
But again, my journey is going to have to be watching more of the new anime, because when we started the show, it was about getting Brave Dave to get wet, to dip his toes in, to really get a feel for what anime really is.
My whole body into it.
Get in there. So I wanted to introduce him to the classics.
Right.
Let him watch some of the classics. Inuyasha, Dragon Ball, Super, which is still a classic, even though it's in the modern day. It's still a continuation of Dragon Ball, 30 years, and you can't take that away from them. Rurouni Kenshin, Samurai X, the collection, which is beautiful. If anyone has that collection, if anyone's seen it, you know what I'm talking about. It's gorgeous artwork, beautiful story, and great characters. And that's what I like. I love a great story that's going to keep me entwined, that's going to make me feel like 2 days has passed and it's really just an hour and maybe a half that went by. That's right. How wrapped in I want to be in this story. And those are the shows that do it for me. Some of these things is just for a quick laugh, a fight sequence here and there, and it's just really no story.
Right.
So that's what I want to see more from the industry, is more substance.
I mean, that makes sense. I mean, and I know what you mean, because that's the way I felt about American comics over the past few years.
Yeah.
That's the way I felt about American movies over the past few years. I mean, there was a period where all I would watch was like Korean films. I told you before.
Yeah, no, that
I got
episode,
a pretty good.
yeah.
You could go through my DVD collection. I've got a pretty good collection of Korean DVDs. I just love this shit. It's like I got tired of, again, it's like everything, the fate of the world, bullshit. I don't give a fuck, man.
That's the whole reason I got into anime, because it was
Right.
different. And I touched on this before too in other episodes. And I don't like when it.
But it's the journey. It's the journey
Exactly.
of the characters. Like, give me good characters, give me a good journey, and I don't care about what the initial premise is. Okay, yeah, it can be about the fate of the world, but at least give me some good characters that I can be connected to emotionally, that I can care about.
Exactly.
And with Voltron, just to circle back to that, I cared about these characters. I really did. I didn't want to lose any of these characters.
No. And I think my favorite character, I would have to say, is Kuran. I think I said it earlier. I just like his personality. I like that he's very nonchalant.
Right.
And he can be very regal too, in a way. So I think there's more to him than just being like an assistant to the princess.
Yeah, like he's a character that I feel like that would have ended up in like a Eddie Murphy movie back in the 80s. you know what I mean? You put Eddie Murphy in a scenario like a scenario of like high society. Like, what's the movie he did?
Trading Places.
Trading Places, something like that. You would see a character like
Dan
around
Aykroyd,
that. You know,
classic movie.
I think my favorite character, I might go with Pidge.
Pidge, huh?
Yeah, and typically that wouldn't really be like my favorite character, but I really loved her story. I loved her struggle. I loved the fact that she was at a disadvantage. I mean, because a character like Keith and Shiro, they're built for this shit.
Yeah, you know. And I appreciate the Japanese name with this because it's a Japanese animation in my eyes anyway, even though it's from DreamWorks. So I like they have Shiro, but then everything else is American. You got Lance, you got Keith. Hunk is like a nickname, I'm sure. Pidge is I don't know where she got Pidge from.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I think what her real name is Katie, right? We heard Shiro say that. And then what I really like too, when going back to her reveal, is how the mice told Princess Allura that Pidge was keeping secrets that she's really a girl, and she's like, "Oh, really?" And she was trying to get her to come out to her about it. It's just like, "Oh, we have a lot in common, more than you think." You're like, It was so funny, and that was really a cool moment in that episode.
Oh yeah, her name is Katie Holt.
Yes,
but I think the fake name that she set up was Pidge Gunderson.
Yeah, which is funny. Pidge.
Pidge.
Kind of sounds like a pigeon, a chicken, like Marcy Darcy.
I love a good Married with Children reference.
Yeah.
That reminds me, I got to get us some No Ma'am t-shirts.
No ma'am.
No ma'am. Griff.
Alan Griff over here.
Alan Griff. You heard of have you heard of the film The Boy and the Beast?
Yeah. I've heard of it. I didn't see it.
I think we should review it, man. I think we should check it out and review it.
This is what the show's about. Yeah. We're going to go ahead and, again, we're going to get you caught up to the present day, and then together we're going to move onwards into the modern era here, because this is never going to end. Right. But
but that's the great thing about doing something like this, right? It doesn't have to end. Like we could do this for 10 years. This is always about
it's always going to be something.
The culture.
Exactly.
And again,
the culture is important, and the way you bring that up, and that's what we need to keep in anime, the culture of Japan, and not let it slip too much. That's why I can appreciate Full Metal Alchemist so much, Brotherhood, because it has some Western influences, but it's still an anime, and let's not forget that.
I do also, and we talked about this before, but anime and manga have been able to just expand globally. Yeah. And for people, I said it before, you have artists like, LaShawn Thomas, you have artists like Henry Randolph, these guys who are born in America. LaShawn Thomas is from the Bronx, and Carrie Randolph is from like Massachusetts or something like that. You know what I mean? And it's like you have an influence coming all the way from Japan. And now, you have these guys who are influenced by that stuff, and they replicate it into their own work. So to me, it's like, what I like about anime, it's not that it's just like, okay, it's about keeping everything within that culture, but it's the fact that that culture allows us to kind of embrace who we are. Yeah. What's around us.
Yeah. Because for them to include it in their production, which in Japan, anime is very prestigious, and especially if you work at the top studios, it's a lot of work. Right. And we could talk more about that in another episode. Right. But it's a very prestigious thing. It has a lot of history, and for them to include Western influences in that says a lot about us, how they respect certain things about Western culture. Right. And even before anime, let's go back after the Bushido, after the samurai, they adopted a lot of Western culture, because this is when they let the Westerners in. They had the ambassadors, the diplomats come in. They were dressing. They stopped wearing kimonos. They were wearing a formal attire. So they really adopted a lot of American and Western culture. Right. But when it comes to anime, even though they do these things, they represent different cultures. They still keep their culture within it as well. So we always got to remember that. Always stick with the culture. But again, if you have those outside influences, don't let it overwhelm it. And I can really appreciate that. Again, Full Metal Alchemist is the prime perfect example. And even Ghost in the Shell. Absolutely. But with Voltron getting back and...
Quick question.
Yeah.
So, we covered the... Listen, I think this is a fantastic remake of the original cartoon.
Yeah. Leaps and bounds.
Right. I watched a little bit recently. I told you it was hard for me to make it through, but I tried. I do remember watching just a little bit when I was younger, but I love this remake.
Yeah.
But it also reminded me of the remake that we saw about 4 or 5 years ago for Thundercats. Now, did you like the remake for? I love the remake for Thundercats.
No.
Really?
I did not.
Wow.
Yep.
I'm shocked.
I didn't like it.
Listen.
I know it's heavily anime inspired.
Fuck yeah.
Exactly, but I didn't like it.
I love it. All right, put it like this. So when I first saw the previews for the new Thundercats, I was like, yeah, I don't know what this is. Looks like they're going for like the Lord of the Rings kind of shit. I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
But then I sat down and watched it, and I was just like, this is a great retelling of that original story. They kept some things the same. They also made a lot of changes.
Lots.
I liked a lot of those changes. Yeah. Listen, I was a big Thundercats fan.
Yeah.
Huge.
So was I.
I loved it. But going back and watching it, a lot of that shit just did not hold up.
Well, yeah, but...
I'm just being honest.
What I would have respected more if they would have kept the design of the characters the same.
Really? You didn't like the new designs?
No. Didn't like it.
I dug it.
I'm very old school.
I mean, so am I. I don't like change.
That's why I like Voltron. Looks the same, but you can even appreciate, even with the better animation, the lions look worn in places. Voltron, it doesn't look like he's crisp, and he has a new paint job every time he forms. I can appreciate shit like that. They keep it old school, but with a new look, with a refreshed look.
Right.
The Thundercats is just a whole reboot, man. I love the old way.
I'll
give you this. Like, Chitara, they kind of watered them down. Like, Lino, I like his armor. Maybe I'll go that far. I don't like that they gave Panthro that kind of mutton chop look there. And I'll say Tiger does look a little cool.
But you didn't even like the fact that they made, Tigra and Lino like stepbrothers.
Nah, because they didn't have, that wasn't like in the original.
Well, no, but this is the retelling. But
yeah.
But that didn't work for you?
No.
All right, but if you separate yourself from the original show, which I know is hard to do because I'm stubborn too.
If I never seen it, I probably would enjoy it more because I loved that cartoon too much to see it turn into that.
but you can't. But the thing is, are you saying that it was bad?
You know what? I can't even really remember much because they pulled the plug on it because the toys weren't selling. Kind of like what they did with Young Justice.
Well, it went 2 seasons.
Yeah, so did Young Justice, and they just canceled it.
No, I know why they canceled it, but I'm just saying that
it's popular with the new kids. They're doing this for younger kids. I'm, now advanced in my still early years. I still appreciate the classic.
Listen, so do I.
Yeah, everybody's entitled to their stuff.
But I'm really surprised that you didn't like anything about the new one?
The only thing they kept the same was the logo.
Yeah. What about the sword?
The Sword of Omens the original Sword of Omens was the shit. It was like when, you got He-Man with his sword, Lino with the Sword of Omens was the coolest fucking sword that there was ever. It's like, it's a little, to me, I don't know if the Sword of Omens had the same oomph that it did back in the day.
I think this might have to go down in history, but I have to disagree with you on this one, man. I mean, I think I loved everything about the remake because I think it made the original better. Because again, remember when Toonami was running the original series back in the late 90s?
Damn, was it really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, in the afternoon.
That's
when Toonami was on the afternoon. Yep.
PM.
I remember. Yep.
I started rewatching Thundercats, and I'm just like, oh my god, this shit is fucking retarded. Like,
dude, I have it on DVD. The show and
what?
Yeah.
Wait, did you? All right, is it
yeah.
just sitting on your shelf, or did you rewatch it?
Oh, I watched it maybe a couple years back. I
Right,
love Thundercats.
But how
man.
did you feel about when you rewatched it?
It just brought me back to my childhood.
Like, listen, after a few episodes, I was able to get back into it.
Schnaff.
But I don't know, man. I thought the remake did a much better job in the presentation of the characters. I think by making Lino and Tiger stepbrothers, I think it allowed us to it allowed them to kind of have like a little bit of a feud with each other. It kind of gave a reason. Like I felt again. I think they put certain things in place for us to have real emotional connections to them. You know what I mean?
I can see that. What I like about the original, I like that it had that 80s comedy kind of shit.
Right.
Like you say, it doesn't hold up today. It's because how things were in the 80s. It's funny. It's like one of my favorite things with Lino would say, "I'm Lino, Lord of the Thundercats, and I command you to obey me." Like, because you're the Lord of the Thundercats, you expect everyone on any planet to, respect you and listen to your orders and shit. Right. That's like some fucking egotistical thing. That's because he's still a child. His fucking capsule didn't really work.
Right.
That's why he aged, but his brain didn't in a sense.
Because he was the same age as was it Kit and Wiley?
Yeah. So he had to really grow up quick to the best of his ability, being the leader of his people. And at the time, that's the best they could do.
Right.
But what I'm hearing you say, and I'm looking at the picture you got up right now, yeah, the animation it looks good for that design that they've done. And this is good for the kids coming up now. I don't understand why they had a blind panther. I guess they had to make him tougher and stuff in one eye. But
it was bad enough he was the only minority.
Yeah, now they have to give him more of a disadvantage.
They had to give him another disability?
Yeah, they had like, not only are you the black one, we'll make you blue, but now we're going to blind you and give you we're going to make you bald with the mutton chops and, this not.
I like the take, man. I mean, it was, I don't know
because
if I
it has more
Shakespearean, but
it has more modern storytelling that you sync with more. I probably, if I really would try to put my bias to the side and sit down and rewatch this, again, that's the kind of things I need to do too.
But wait, so did you watch it, or did you just watch the first episode and dismiss it?
Maybe two episodes or three.
Man, I think you should give it a real shot.
When they were on that planet with those elephant type things, I think I lost it at that moment. Like, what is going on with this? I was like, is there really any story after that was going on? And they were supposed
to.
Like Mumra, Mumra was one of my favorite fucking characters, and besides the mutants with Slithe and Voltron and all that, what a great cast.
Well, listen, for the 80s, I think it. Listen, we come from the same generation.
Yeah,
I appreciated it. I appreciated the cartoon in the 80s.
Yes,
I watched it anytime it was on. I loved it. But again, let's be honest here, and we talked about this before, American cartoons were way behind in the 80s.
Yes.
In terms of voice acting, in terms of storytelling, all these different elements that actually made, because anime was at its peak in the 80s, right? Maybe not at its peak, but certainly hitting its stride, right?
In America?
No.
Yeah.
I meant in terms of story. Like, what was going on in Japan with their animes? Because their animes were a lot more adult.
Oh, yeah.
Like, in comparison to what we had going on. So...
Yes.
So what I'm saying is, though,
they were ahead of their time.
Right, because what I'm saying is, though, the animes during the 80s, they weren't pandering to kids.
No.
In America, because of the toy sales...
You had to.
That's why characters will sound like this, and I am gonna take my sword out.
Huzzah!
Right. And as we spoke about before, a few episodes ago, I said, the game changer was really Batman the Animated Series, because that was one of the first American cartoons where you didn't have characters talk like that.
No, you had real talk. You had acting, and a prime example is going to be three people. It's going to be one, Kevin Conroy.
The great Kevin Conroy.
the greatest ever Mark Hamill and the exceptionally talented, beautiful Tara Strong. She is amazing, and she's still doing her thing. She does My Little Pony. She did the Powerpuff Girls, did Ben 10. Yeah. She's on Teen Titans Go doing Raven. The woman is so talented. I would love if I could ever sit down and just speak with her and just.
She did a lot of good shit.
Yeah, I just want.
That was a brand new generation.
She gave me my childhood. Harley Quinn, all these things. I would just love to speak with her and just pick her brain.
But again, that came for us. That started 92. That was already going on in Japan.
Yeah,
that level of acting. You know what I mean? We didn't have that.
The Dragon Ball Z voice actors, they would pass out when screaming during a fight scene. Because that's the level of intensity that they bring to that show. Right. And it translates to the screen. And I tell you, I would get goosebumps watching Dragon Ball Z in the past. That's how intense and phenomenal that show is in Japanese. Right. And no discredit to the American dub. Funimation is doing an excellent job. Sean Schemmel, he is the quintessential Goku in America. It's just Japan, it's their thing. That's what they do. And for them to come in and do it justice in America, my hat off to you guys. Keep doing your thing. Do some justice for American dubbing. A lot of studios should take note and put as much pride and work into their product as you guys do.
That's what it comes down to, pride and work.
That's right. They take a lot of pride, and they say, no, it translates into sales. You're going to put a lot of pride into your work. Yeah. Fans are going to see that, hey, wow, they really care about what they're doing. They care about what we think. We're going to buy more DVDs. We're going to sign up to they have their own streaming thing too. Funimation, they have their own thing like Netflix, like the Anime Network. They have it. They got to pay for it. So I'm sure they want people to sign up and buy it. It all comes down to what makes the biggest dollar and who's going to do it better. Well,
fans, let us know if you want Matt to give the 2011 version of Thundercats a chance. Like,
yeah,
because just to circle back to my point from before, with in the 80s Japan, they were already producing shit that was kind of more tailor-made for adults, not just for kids. In America, we were so way behind. Yeah, and it wasn't until the 90s came along. You had shows like Batman the Anime Series, you had Gargoyles, shit like that came around. And I think in terms of the 2011 remake of Thundercats, there's no way they could have replicated the shit that they produced in the 80s. That shit does not hold up anymore. No. I mean, and I was a child that grew up watching, again, Thundercats, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, G.I. Joe. Mm-hmm. Even if you look at the, there's been 2 remakes of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yeah. There was one around 2003, and then there's the one now on Nickelodeon. They're both great.
They are. Equal in their own way.
In their own way. And they all kind of fit their era, in a sense. Yep. The last one that's on Nickelodeon is a combination of what happened in the 80s, the tone of that one, plus with the remake that we saw in 2003.
Yeah, and speaking of the Turtles now, their new season just started.
Right. So, yeah, there's been a lot of marketing for that recently.
Yeah, and it looks pretty good so far. And I'm not a fan of some of the character designs, but I do like that.
The Turtles look good. It's just everyone else.
Everyone else is shoddy.
Yeah. The Turtles, April, Splinter look good.
Splinter's really good. I like Splinter.
Shredder at times looks good.
Yeah, I would appreciate a more 80s Shredder, but with a little more modern to it. I really appreciate that classic Shredder look.
I like the design from the 2003 version of the Shredder. That was good. Yep. With the Brock Lesnar type of bodyguard. Yes. That big dude.
Yes.
What's his name?
I don't remember. I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
I forgot his name, but yeah, like
I think they turned him into Slash.
Did they?
I think so. On that one, he got mutated.
Oh yeah. In the Nickelodeon version, right? Yeah. But anyway, like in the 80s, the Turtles, and when you go back and watch that one, it's fine, it's okay. But again, a lot of that shit it's just no, a different time.
It's like a comedy that everything they throw. They even made fun of it in the 2003 one where they just throw garbage cans and stuff at their villains. It's very campy, very lighthearted.
It was a big part of my childhood.
And mine too. And the video games, I remember playing it on the NES and Super Nintendo. One of the
that
best games that at that time, and hardest too.
Yeah, it was hard. Yeah.
But yeah, this is assignment for our fans listening. If you want us, or me in particular, to go ahead and give Thundercat Remake another go, just let us know on iTunes, on SoundCloud, comment, leave us some feedback, ask us questions, please. Again, this helps us out on iTunes. Rate, let us know what you're thinking, let us know how we're doing,
and not just for Thundercats, but just
in anything in general.
Yeah, if you want us to watch something, review it, just to get our take on it.
Definitely let us know. We're here to appease you guys. You're our listeners, you're our followers, our fans, our base. And without you guys, we're really just talking to ourselves. Yeah. So if you're listening and you really like what we're doing and you want to see us talk about something that you're passionate about, please don't hesitate. Just leave a comment. Talk to us on Facebook, email. We're very social. Yeah. We have our website, theroguesgallery.com, our Facebook, our Instagram, Twitter. Again, you can contact us on a lot of social formats. We're on Stitcher Radio now. So not only we're on iTunes, SoundCloud, our videos and stuff on YouTube, you're on Stitcher Radio. So no matter what your favorite platform is for listening to podcasts, we got you covered. Got you covered. So if you got that Stitcher app, The Rogues Gallery, SoundCloud, The Rogues Gallery, iTunes, The Rogues Gallery. Again, this is The Rogues Gallery presents. It's part of our company, our family of podcasts. So if it ain't having the "the" in front of it, it ain't from The Rogues Gallery. So just remember that, everybody. Okay, because we keep it in the family here. This is our business. This is our livelihood. And again, just let us know. Let us know if you did watch the original Voltron and what's your take on the remake.
Did you like it? Did you hate it?
Yes. We want to know. We want to know. Because I'm sure, like me and with Brave Dave, we have our differences in opinions, and sometimes we don't. So it would be great to know if you guys out there, you love the original, but you hated the remake, or vice versa, that you really didn't care much for the original, and you really didn't like the remake either. It could be,
Listen,
it's very interesting.
The original and did not like the remake, you must be on crack cocaine. But that's okay.
That's okay.
But that's okay.
There's nothing wrong with that. But just let us know about it. Let us know how you feel. Yeah. Let us know your thoughts, because we won't know otherwise. And we really want to put on a show where you guys are engaged, and we engage back with you, and you feel a part of the show. That's what we're here, and that's what we're about. And I know that I really love this remake of Voltron. I really can't wait for the second season, because I want to see what happens, kind of like a Doctor Who timey-wimey shit that's going on. They were put into this wormhole, but it got compromised by that stupid witch bitch Hagra, and all the lions fell out of the wormhole, and I'm sure they're either in different parts of space. I don't know if it works in time-wise. So it's going to be very interesting to see where everyone winds up and what they have to do to find each other again. So there comes another conflict where they survive the battle with Zarkon, and then they're going and getting thrusted away from each other, and they're going to have to somehow fight their way back through whatever circumstances each one of the paladins are faced with in whatever part of the universe that they're in. And it's going to be a great story for another season. And I hope everyone's going to stick with it and give us your thoughts on it. What do you think, Brave Dave? Anything else we want to add about? So I know that 11 episodes, it's very easy to talk about the character story. I know that it didn't have a lot of episodes, and
listen, you brought it up earlier, but yeah. I like the fact that we got episodes that are directly related to the existing plot.
Exactly.
We don't live in a generation anymore where we need filler. No. This is not what we need. And also, this is something we also talked about before, but a lot of that comes down to budget. Like, Netflix doesn't have the budget like a network, television station. So they can't order fucking, 20, 30 episodes of fucking, Voltron. Yeah. There's too much money. Let's just get episodes that are dealing with the plot. That's all we need to deal with. Again, just going back to the stuff that we saw in the 80s, there's a lot of episodes of shows like G.I. Joe, Ninja Turtles, Voltron, and all this other stuff that it was a lot of fluff, a lot of filler. We don't have time for that shit anymore. We live in a time where we're where there's oversaturation of content.
Yeah.
So,
and not everybody has an attention span anymore.
Right.
That's why you have so many of these shows that are either 10 minutes or 15 minutes.
Right.
Which, how much story can you get into an episode?
You never know. It depends.
You can. Well, you're speaking of a Steven Universe. They make it work.
Mike Tyson Mysteries is pretty awesome.
It is.
It was like what, 15 minutes long?
Yeah, because it's it's just dumb funny.
It's just dumb shit, and I love it.
That's it.
And I love the fact. And speaking of remakes, that was heavily influenced by the Hanna-Barbera cartoons that we were watching.
Yeah, with all these odd pairings and shit.
Exactly, and I dug it. So
yeah, being a fan of anime, I'm just numb to seeing ghosts walking around like it's a human being, and pigs talking and walking and married to a human person. This is commonplace now for me. Purple hair, green hair, it doesn't matter. Brown, purple skin, orange, green. It's like, this is what I've been exposed to from the mid-90s onwards.
My thing is, I don't care if it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or 20 minutes. I just want a good story. So I just want it to work. And the one thing I like about, even though Voltron was only 11 episodes, from what I've been able to read about it, season 2 is going to be a pretty quick turnaround. That's supposed to debut sometime in 2017. Yeah. So I'm expecting it. Like, if you think about Netflix, they kind of do like this annual shit. So I expected this year Voltron debuted June of 2016. Yes. So I expect season 2 to be June of 2017, or at least at the latest July. So yeah,
just more. I know when they released Daredevil season 2, they did a little earlier because with Batman v Superman, they want to put a little pressure. It was
about a week, about a week earlier.
So they just want to make sure that was out first and people were watching that more.
But it was generally around the same time because I think it also debuted in April of last year. So
yep,
around the same time.
Yeah, they really didn't need any help because Batman v Superman did themselves in. Daredevil was a masterpiece. Yeah. The season 2 was even better. It was so enjoyable. Netflix, thank you so much for giving us great content that's done so beautifully. Marvel, thank you. And now DreamWorks, thank you so much. We really...
And DC, we just want to...
oh, man, please.
I don't know what to say.
DC, just do what you got to do. Make it work. Make it work.
You guys got to do a 180.
You got to. Make it work. Give us something with Justice League, please. Give us something with Man of Steel, too. If you're going to really do the sequel, please don't shit on your fucking title character. The man. Come on. I know you want to make him relatable, and it comes across dark because that's the real world. I read what Zack Snyder was saying. But don't shit on him, though. You can make him relatable, but make him the hero that he is. Yeah. Well, not this brooding douche.
You know what? Cap was relatable.
Yeah,
in all 3 of his movies. So
yeah, that's
fuck
true.
You if you know what I mean. It's like it's listen. You know what? And we got to kind of wrap this up. But sometimes you creators just try a little too hard. That's it.
That's all. Just put the ego aside. Do what's right. Don't
fucking force a story. Yes. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of this shit is so fucking forced. And that's why it's bad. You know what? Why don't you pick up a copy of fucking Superman Birthright? Because that's the great fucking retelling of that fucking man's story. All right? Read Superman Birthright from fucking Mark Waid, the great Mark Waid. That book came out around 2003. That was a great series. It ran about fucking 12 issues. It was fucking amazing. Pick that shit up and then write your fucking movie. How about that?
That sounds like a job for Man of Steel 2. Let's see if they can do that.
On that note.
Well, we had a really great time today giving you this review of Voltron, the Legendary Defender, only on Netflix, baby. And we really hope that you enjoyed it. We hope that you stick for season 2 when it comes out next year. And we really hope you enjoyed this episode. Again, I'm going to just reiterate, please leave us some feedback, comment, iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Facebook, our website, any social media platform. We're on it all. Just reach out to us. Let us know how we're doing. And again, let us know what you want to hear us talk about. And for episode 6, we're going to do that review of the animated movie, The Boy and the Beast. Thanks so much for tuning in this week. For Brave Dave, I'm Matt Swagger. See you next week, everybody.
Peace.
Oos!